Hey, welcome to Beyond the Uniform. I am Justin Hess, and I've coached over 150 cops and first responders. And the number one thing that keeps the guys from getting started isn't motivation, but fear. And today I'm going to name 4 fears that are actually stopping you. And I'm going to show you how I've removed every single one of them. So let's get into it because I've had it to where, when someone doesn't sign up, or doesn't start the workout or doesn't make the change, everyone assumes it's motivation. I just need to want it more. That's rarely the truth. Like, you don't have a motivation problem, you have a fear problem. And nobody wants to admit that. Fear that you'll invest time, the money, effort, and still not see results. Fear that committing is too big a leap when you're not sure it'll work for you. And nobody wants to say the word fear out loud because that feels like it's admitting weakness, but it's not. Today, I want to talk about 4 specific fears, the ones I hear most from cops before they ever get started in my Cop Transformation Academy. I'm going to be honest with you. I felt every single one of these myself. And then I'm going to show you something I built specifically to remove them. So there's a concept from a book, 10 seconds of insane courage. And I read that. And essentially, because the guy basically just got a concept that we all have these moments that we get scared. And that we just need insane courage for just 10 seconds. We just need to be willing a lot of times to just start the conversation, send the message, make the call before your brain has time to actually talk yourself out of it. Because fear doesn't go away because you get older or you're more successful or you're more experienced. I still get it. What changes is whether you let the 10 seconds pass or not. And every big thing in my life happened because I pushed through 10 seconds of fear. Not because the fear wasn't there. Sometimes, it's, what they say is fear, being brave is not having fear, but it's taking action in fear of itself, something like that. I'm just paraphrasing. But in this book, again, 10 seconds of insane courage, there are 8 common fears. Now, we're not going to address all 8 of them, but we're going to address 4 of them. Whether they are worded exactly like they are in the book or, at least a paraphrasing or just different words about it. So, the number one, the first fear is fear of imperfection. The belief that that if you're not going to do it perfectly, you shouldn't do it at all. Or if you do it and you mess up, then you're just down on yourself. And this shows up everywhere in health and fitness. If I can't commit to eating perfectly, why bother? If I mess up on this meal, I might as well turn a cheat meal into a cheat day, right? Or I missed a workout today and it's Tuesday. Well, I might as well just wait to start next week. And I've lived that. Early in my career, imperfection. The word inadequacy comes up. The fear of not being enough. And that was early in my career. Especially in my first police department. Firearms at the time, I could pass, but I was just kind of skating by. Imagine doing your firearms qual. You're starting at closer range and you work backwards. And as I kept going backwards, more 10 yards, I'd shoot, I'd shank one a little bit to the left, outside the lines. I'd shake my head, go back to the starting line, shoot, shake my head. And my firearms instructor had grabbed me by the shoulders. I remember he's Hess, you're trying too hard to be good. And of course, I didn't really know what he meant at that time. I'm like, well, of course, like, who likes messing up, right? Like, who likes being like a B or C? I want to be the A student. I tried so hard to be like the A student, right? But what he was trying to get at is that, like, it's like that Monday, it's like that quarterback mentality where like, you throw an interception, you got to get over that interception and go out and play. Otherwise, you're just going to more likely throw another one, right? Well, it's like same with me. Like, I'd get so caught up making a mistake that I'd just shank the next shot and the next one and the next one. I'd be the guy who like I could do like 9 things correctly, but I get completely fixated on the one thing that I got wrong. So it was I just had like way too high of standards for myself. I mean, again, like don't get me wrong, like it's good to have high standards, but it's having standards like perfect standards to where it's impossible to having standards where it's impossible to live up to. It's just a recipe for disaster. And it can like still show up to me even today. Like, I'm not the most fit person on the planet, but I'm in genuinely good shape. And I also look at, I was at the water park like last week, and there might be like someone who might be like, oh, like, their abs are a little better than mine. All right, that guy's like arms are bigger, right? Like the instinct just doesn't fully go away. You just learn to recognize it for what it is. But here's the truth about imperfection. Like nobody who's ever made real progress did it by being perfect. And they messed up. Now they did it they were consistent. 90% consistency beats 100% perfection that quits after just 2 weeks. So being perfect is the enemy of like just getting started. Okay. So don't be afraid about just trying to be perfect. The second fear is, a fear of the unknown, or the telling the leaving, telling my story about me leaving policing, when I was a full-time cop. But with the fear of the unknown is like, what if I don't know what to expect? What if this happens? What if that happens? And that's just anxiety, right? Like, what if I commit and it's not what I think it is? This is the big one, like keeping people from like ever getting started in the first place. It's that fear of the unknown. They have no certainty. And I had that like when I was trying to decide to leave when I was a full-time cop and I wanted to start Blue Line Fitness. I kept trying to find like the perfect time to leave. When I tried to want to leave in like the fall of 2020, well, then we had a couple of officers from our agency like leave. And I'm like, well, I can't leave when shorthanded. I'll go like I'll go in the winter. And I can't even remember what happened. Like, I'll go in the spring. We actually had more people leave. And I'm just like, I get to a point where like there's no perfect time. This actually like leads to a different fear later on. But like there's always things like, what would I leave? What would my partners when they need me most? What if the timing is wrong? Like, am I good enough? That inadequacy. Well, what if this doesn't work out? Like I just kept waiting for the signal for the right moment. But the truth is, like, there's never a perfect time. There's never going to be one. The unknown doesn't resolve itself by just waiting. It only resolves by starting and finding out. So, like the 10 seconds of courage, like the moment I actually did something was when I spoke to my supervisor. I remember we had to drop off a squad for maintenance. So I'd be driving, my supervisor would be sitting in the passenger seat. And like, seriously, like, there's this big fear in my chest. I didn't want to say it. All of a sudden I just said, so I'm gonna talk to captain. I'm gonna put my 2 weeks in. And I remember just saying, fuck. And he's just like, well, where are you going? And then I just told him about Blue Line Fitness. And he was actually like, because he thought I was going to leave for a different agency. And he was actually super proud of me for wanting to follow up on my dreams. But I just took the 10 seconds of courage just to open my mouth saying like, so I'm leaving the agency. And the thing was that like here's the thing with the fear of unknown. You always think about the worst case scenario, but then like all the people in my agency, they were actually pretty supportive of my decision. They're actually pretty jealous, actually. So the third fear is the fear of judgment. Like just not I mean, not only just from strangers, from the people closest to you. What are people gonna think of me if I do this? What are people gonna think of me if I don't do this? What will my spouse think of me if this doesn't work? Whether it's a fitness journey or my business. What will my coworkers think if I try something and it fails? What will people say if I just fall short flat on my face, right? You know, and some of these, like it happen every single day. It can happen with, just even conversations that I would want to have with my wife where, hey, like I know by bringing this up or speaking my mind that it may upset her. But, I need to stay true to myself and want to be transparent. Like, if I have this fear of like, if she's going to think less of me or if she's going to get mad, right? Um, I mean, those aren't like unfair questions to have of like when are you, and even when I left policing, and I started my business, she would ask me, like, what if this doesn't work out for you? When are you going to go back if it doesn't? And just not being afraid to like follow my heart and not give her like the answer that she'd want to hear. Yeah, because the truth is, I didn't want to disappoint her. I didn't want to make sure that I wanted to make sure it wasn't from a place of like I didn't want to prove her doubts right, um, of upsetting the person that I care about most. But like what I've learned about this fear is that people who actually love you aren't going to judge you for trying. They're scared with you, not against you. And the version of you that never tries anything, there's no they support that never gives them a reason to be proud. The fear of judgment kept me quiet for a while. But the 10 seconds of like insane courage was just starting the conversation with her and being honest about what I wanted, even though that there may be some real concerns. And the fourth fear that I want to talk about today is that this one I hear more than any other one is the fear of failure. Specifically, like fear of, like say, like especially if you invest money into something and time and you still don't see results. What if I do all of this and it doesn't work for me? What if I'm just still stuck, like I was like X months ago and having wasted all that money on top of it? You see, the first three fears, like imperfection, the unknown, and judgment, like those are all things that you work through internally. But this one, I realized I could actually remove it. Not just talk you through it, but actually remove it itself. And this is why, anytime I go into coaching, I want to make sure that I address these fears because I know that they're just real. When people like give me quote unquote like objections, they're just concerns. And if I can, in a way, address all these concerns for someone so they feel more confident about getting coaching, I'm going to do that. And that is why I built something called the ride along. Like if you think about it, like how a civilian does, like think about it in a way like a civilian does a ride along, with an officer to see what policing is like before they even want to say join an academy. They get to experience it first. I lost like connection there for a little bit. But just like log your food. Doesn't have to be like perfect. We have like a plate system, like a 2x2x2 plate, just following that. And then show up to your coaching calls. And really that's the commitment. And here's how I remove the fear of wasted money entirely. Like most of my students, like actually all my students who like did all three things. They did all their workouts. They showed up to the coaching calls. They abide by the eating plan consistently. They lose between 7 to 15 pounds in their first 30 days. But if for whatever reason, if you do like all of this work and you still don't lose at least 5 pounds in your first 30 days, not only will I give you your registration fee back, but you don't have to commit to the rest of the 3 months of coaching. We like rip up the student agreement. You got 30 days of coaching. You got to get some experience with different workouts and eating, and just, now you're more knowledgeable. And in 5 years of coaching, when someone actually does all the work, they've lost at least 5 pounds. So if you're interested in this ride along program, you can comment or DM me the word ride along. And I'll give you first details. I got 8 spots left of this initiative. So again, as we close out, we talked about the fears: the fear of imperfection, the fear of the unknown, the fear of judgment, and the fear of failure and wasting money. Every one of them is real because I felt them myself. But every one of them takes about 10 seconds of insane courage just to move through them. The hardest part was like never for these people, it was never to do the program. It was like just to raise their hand or just to sign up. That was like the scariest part. Or even for you, take these like 10 seconds of courage, whether that's like a conversation you need to have with your loved one, your boss, like starting like maybe a new business adventure like I did. But again, if you want full details on the ride along, so that way that you could lose, again, our program is to help busy cop dads lose 20 to 30 pounds in 4 months without running a single mile or 2-hour workouts or restrictive dieting. If you want details on this ride along, comment or so you can DM me the word ride along on Facebook or Instagram. I'll send you everything. We'll just have a true, honest conversation. I'll answer your questions. No big deal if you're not interested. So again, use that 10 seconds of courage today to make your life a little better. I'll see you all next week.